Hello and welcome to this masterclass on how to create an elevator pitch. In just a few steps, I'm going to explain to you how you can create this 30 to 60 second pitch. For example, it could be that you need it in an elevator, but most likely you'll need it for networking, job hunting, or any occasion where you suddenly bump into somebody who can benefit from your services or your products. Did you ever stop to think that you as a job hunter, it's not just you who's looking for a job, but that your job is actually looking for you? If you think about it this way, it's your mission to make yourself easier to find and easier to assess. Hi, I'm Christina Freeman. I'm a CV and LinkedIn profile writer. I work with job hunters to help them optimize their search and gain visibility by knowing their personal brand and their professional value and telling it in such a way that it opens doors to new opportunities. Do you want to start discovering your own unique story? Guess what I just did? I just gave you my elevator pitch. It's kind of a 2-for-1, that way I can introduce myself. What we're going to do today, I'm going to explain to you, I'm going to give you 4 tips on how to create your elevator pitch. First, we need to know what the elevator pitch is. What are we talking about here? Second, well, why is it important? Why should I do this? Third, what are the key ingredients? And finally, well, how do I say it in 30 to 60 seconds? There's just so much to say. So let's get started. First, well, what is an elevator pitch? Think about the situation, how this concept came up. You walk into an elevator, and right there in front of you is somebody who can benefit from your product, your service, a potential client. And, well, the elevator goes up from the first floor, ding, to the second floor. Several people walk onto the elevator, and you start losing your nerve because you really want to say something to this person. You smile awkwardly at your prospect. He smiles back. 3rd floor, 4th floor, ding. 5th floor, he walks off. You lost your nerve, you lost your opportunity, partly because you got nervous, but partly because you just weren't prepared. So how will you take advantage of that experience next time it happens? This is the concept of an elevator pitch. Of course, we rarely bump into people on elevators, let alone are in a situation where we can pitch what we need, what we can do for them. But there's lots of occasions where you only have 30 to 60 seconds to engage that person, that listener, and tell them the value you can offer them. It's a succinct and persuasive sales pitch that supposedly fits into the time it takes the elevator to get to its destination. Of course, that could be a longer elevator ride. It could be 30 seconds or a minute. What should it be like? Well, it should be clear, concise, and to the point. It should be inspirational or create some kind of emotional connection, and of course be impactful. So the second thing, now we know what the elevator pitch is, but why is it important and why should you spend time working on this? Well, essentially, your elevator pitch is very similar to a value proposition. If you learn your value proposition, you're starting to internalize your own story. You know how to communicate your story and your value in different contexts. So you have value proposition as one type of, let's say, format. An elevator pitch is another format in which it's verbal. So it also allows you to demonstrate your communication skills. Of course, it can make you memorable if you do it properly. And it's handy for many formats: interviews, networking events, and all sorts of random encounters with those nice-to-have contacts. And of course, last thing, having it ready allows you to never have that sinking feeling of a missed opportunity, like in the scene I just described. So now we know why it's important, but you might be asking, all right, well, how do I put it together? What are the pieces of this? What are the ingredients? How do I create my own value proposition? So before you sit down to start writing, it's important to assume that you have a good grasp of 2 things. Okay, one of the things is your own value, meaning you have to have an understanding of your own career trajectory and your story, of those activities, those accomplishments that really demonstrate your talents. And there's lots of exercises you can do for this. For the sake of brevity, I'm going to skip over that part and assume that you already have a good grasp of your talents, your skills, your strengths, and your weaknesses. And of course, those top moments that really demonstrate your value. The second thing that you need to do before you write your value proposition is understand your target audience, because it's always pitched towards somebody's particular needs. And there's lots of tools that you can use to research your target audience and their pain points. So once you have a good grasp of your professional value and a good understanding of what you have to offer, and also about your target audience's needs, it's time to start writing your elevator pitch. I want you to think about it as kind of like you would cooking, right? We have different ingredients I'm going to discuss. I'm going to discuss 5 principal ingredients, but also, like any good cook, we're going to add garnish at the end and a good presentation. So there will be 2 additional ingredients that you add at the very end when you're writing it. So the idea is to put everything out on the table like you would pull all the ingredients out of the fridge and just throw them onto a counter and before you start putting it together. So the idea is for you to just dump it all on a page, and it doesn't matter in your first draft how long it is. The important thing is to get all the ingredients in there. Okay, so here's the list of ingredients. 1, the first thing you're going to answer is, who are you and what is your role? The important thing about this is that it might be your job title, but it might not be your job title for many reasons. Your job title sometimes pigeonholes you into something you no longer want to continue doing. Also, different companies have different hierarchies and structures and different names for the same role that you might be carrying out. Also, because we're so much more than our job title. So when you think about it, as you brainstorm, you can start with your job title, but think about the role and the activity that you carry out, right? So it doesn't matter at this point if you're writing 3 sentences, but the important thing is to have that ingredient out on the table and understand what your role is. The second ingredient is what you do really well. So if you've done these self-awareness exercises before, you have a good notion of where you've had the most impact, the things you do really well, and maybe and hopefully also things that you're very passionate about. So that's the second question you're going to answer. And again, it doesn't matter at this point. Just put all the ingredients there. It can be 3 sentences. Doesn't matter. Just answer it. The third one is, for whom do you do it? So this is really important because there may be some key words that come in here. So industries, people, clients, who are you doing this for? The fourth ingredient is, well, that audience that you just answered in the third ingredient, what are their pain points? And you've looked at this. You can use an AI tool. You can look at LinkedIn job postings. There's lots of ways to find out what their concrete pain points are and to decide what are their principal pain points that you can solve. Okay? And then the 5th one is, what is the impact of your work? Now, the garnish I told you about is the hook at the beginning and the call to action at the end. And because elevator pitches are used in many different contexts, you might not always need a call to action. A hook is always good, especially verbally when you're doing this verbally. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. If you want to get going and doing this right away, I encourage you to stop this video, look at these ingredients, and start writing. And then I'll tell you how to move forward. Okay, so you have a rough draft. It might not look something like this that you see on the screen, which is the elevator pitch I gave you at the beginning. And of course, you'll see I have lots of different colors. I'll explain why I'm using those colors. But I'm going to explain to you how to get to something much, much shorter that really fits into 30 to 60 seconds. So from here, you remember when I started my elevator pitch, I didn't start right in and to say, hi, I'm Christina Freeman. I'm a CV and LinkedIn profile writer. I had a hook. I said, did you ever stop to think that as a job searcher, it's not just you looking for a job, but your dream job is looking for you? So this is the hook. This is something that after you have all the ingredients out, you can think about, how can I engage somebody really quickly in that elevator or whatever context? Something that really hooks them. It can be a quote, it can be a question that really piques their interest. This is the one I decided to go with. So I put that at the beginning, as you see on the screen now. That's the hook that goes at the beginning. This is what I was saying about the garnish or the presentation that any good cook uses to really engage their audience. So that's at the beginning. And what you're going to add at the end, if the situation calls for it, is a call to action. A call to action is to say, well, you gave this person in an elevator this great pitch about the wonderful things that you can do, but he's about to walk off. So how can he contact you, and why should he contact you? So that's a call to action. So I say something like this: do you want to start exploring your own unique story? And here's my card, or here, look me up on LinkedIn, or if you don't mind, I'm going to send you a contact request on LinkedIn, or whatever the situation calls for. So a call to action so they can actually connect with you. Okay, so those are the last 2 ingredients, kind of like that, to have a great presentation for your elevator pitch. So you'll get to that. You'll get to something brief with your your hook and your call to action. But right now you might have something like Maria does here in this draft that you see. You see that it's quite long. And if you read it, it says, I started my career as receptionist at A&H Hotels and slowly moved on to managerial roles as supervisor at the front desk. Later, I moved to 5-star luxury hotels and trained staff to deliver great customer service. As operations staff, I also supported the event manager in securing space, liaising with food and beverage for catering, and identifying staff for my team to support the event operations. As front desk manager, I achieved operational excellence and trained my team in anticipatory luxury product delivery, elevating customer reviews and social media rankings. The 25 high-profile yearly events I supported received favorable reviews from attendees. I'm passionate about this industry, about the people and processes that make excellence happen, and want to bring the same value to a new organization. So what do you think about Maria's pitch? You see that I've highlighted the color. She has a lot of the ingredients in there. But there's one thing, you see that her goal is to work in operations management or event management, and she starts off her pitch saying, as receptionist. That's something that is no longer necessary, and that's when the first thing that you say is the most engaging thing, one of the things that person will remember the most. She doesn't want to be a receptionist anymore, and she doesn't have to rehash her whole history. But by doing so in this rough draft, she has a lot of the key ingredients. You see there's a lot of black text too. The idea now is to filter that out so she can condense it and say it in 30 to 60 seconds. So we go back to the questions that I gave you. What is your role? That's blue. You can choose whatever colors you want, but I chose blue. What do you do? What do you do well? I choose red. For whom? I do that in green. Target audience and their pain points in yellow, and then in purple, your impact. Whatever colors you choose, it doesn't matter, but go back and highlight, use some kind of color coding so you know which are the really important ingredients, and you're going to filter kind of like when you're cooking and you have to like sift things out, right? You're going to sift out the unnecessary words. You're going to have to keep some black text in there because it has to flow, but there's a lot of things, if they don't connect with your target audience, it goes out. And if it's not in one of these colors, then it also is removed. So by doing that, you're going to be able to condense it into 30 to 60 seconds. Okay, so just as a review, how do you do that? You have a rough draft, maybe it's a paragraph long. How are you going to reduce that? So go back and answer all the questions first, but don't hold back. The first time around, don't hold back, just put it all on paper. Then you're going to highlight the content that actually answers those questions with this kind of color coding. You're going to delete the text in black that isn't necessary. And then you're going to come back and add a hook at the beginning to really engage the listener. And if need be, a call to action. After you've done all that, the most important thing now is to practice it with a friend. Practice it again and again until your story, you have it at your fingertips, at the tip of your tongue. So when you walk onto an elevator or any other situation, you're going to say something like this. This is Maria when she finally condenses her elevator pitch. She starts like this. It's well known that people will always remember how you made them feel, not so much what you say or what you did. That's how I interact with staff and guests. As a 5-star hotel operations professional, I train event teams and front desk staff in customer service best practices to deliver anticipatory luxury products and operational excellence. Within 2 years, we elevated our service delivery with stellar recognition across 25 high-profile events, increasing our customer evaluation rating by 2 points to an average of 9 out of 10, and reaching a 50% uptick in TripAdvisor and Booking Review write-ups. I know you're striving to achieve the similar results at your operations. I would be happy to speak to you to tell you more. Now you have the key ingredients and instructions as to how to create your own elevator pitch. So are you ready? Did you get started already? The time you put in now is going to pay off later, because knowing, owning, and showing your value is at the core of any successful job search. Because it's not just you looking for a job, your job is actually looking for you. I hope this masterclass was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.